peace. Greetings, sovereigns. It is Sovereign Sunday. Um, I always say I want to play music. Play the music. Play some music in your head. Today, I am gonna try to get myself on live on Instagram, so that way I am in two places at one time. And then I'm going to usher my live people on over to YouTube. Peace, peace, peace. So, for those of you entering the space, I just want to greet you and greet Naya. Peace. How are you? Oh my goodness. Deidre, Sully, MPH. I have to say the MPH. Ema, Precious, Stephanie, greetings. Chanel L. Woods and Keshamara. Keshamara, please head on over to our YouTube channel, The Sovereign Eats, or Sovereign Eats, and join us there. You can engage with many of the sisters who are already in the chat. Thank you for joining us today. Um, I don't know how to do an emoji wave, so I'll just do a physical wave. Greetings. I am happy that you all are able to make it and join us. Greet each other when you come in and hit the like button. Don't just greet me, greet everyone else in the space. Today I really wanted to, before I even start anything, I want to actually big up and greet all of the members of the Anu Life Global Ministries, Anu men, Anu women in the space. And I want to, I want to greet and give thanks for Chief Yuya, who is the Chief Jegna of Anu Life Global Ministries and makes even me sitting here possible because, so, when you lack that strength and that motivate inspiration rather to move off of certain things, it is a beautiful experience when you can find that purpose in community and find that purpose in just being able to give and do for others. So I just wanted to big up. I wanted to big up Anu. Greetings, Sister Kashia. So I thought that we could continue with some of our conversation around and revisit the idea of sugars, natural sugars, or they say they are natural sugars, right? They say. But before I do, are there any other greetings? Cornelia's Creative Corner, welcome, and come on, head on over to our YouTube channel, right? We have many sisters in the space. You can greet them and share and engage with them there. So feel free to do so. Soon we'll be going live on YouTube exclusively. We're going to make it exclusive, right? Our Sovereign Sundays will be exclusive. Greetings, Sister Manira. So, yeah. But before I even jump into that, I kind of wanted to ask if any of you were feeling extremely creative today. Just the need to get up and move, dance, or do something, create something, bead, sew if you sew, because today felt like a day I really needed to get up and be creative. Um, and make something, produce something. And sometimes I get that experience or that feeling at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or sometimes even 4. I want to make something. So I just felt like I should ask if anyone ever feels that surge of energy at, like just very strange times during the dawning or during the day. Shalom, Chief Yuya. Greetings, and thank you for greeting all of the sisters in the space. Um, so if you want to, you can share what some of your creative hankerings are like, or your creative um, genius that kind of strikes you really, really early in the dawning. Because yeah, sometimes it's always good to have an outlet for that expression of your creative energy, or maybe just your energy. Period. Maybe you have a lot of thoughts, things that you're thinking about. I know I do have lots of thoughts, and sometimes the best way to express them is to either write or to do something with that energy, not just let it sit there or go to sleep. Yes. So, all right, let's jump right in. So, let's take a look at sugars again. So, one of the things I didn't speak on was um, other alternatives, right? Other alternatives that we normally indulge in. And some of those are staple, right? Some of them are staple, consciously staple sugars that we consume, and some of them are unconsciously so, right? Because HFCSs, right, are in everything. HFCSs. Who could guess what is this HFCS? What's that? You think you know what that is? Tell me what you think that is. Um, it is a sneaky sugar. And you'll find it in everything. That's why I say we consume so much of it, and it's a staple, both consciously and unconsciously. Sucrose is also in everything that's prepackaged. So and I know that we know a lot of this, but I find it still makes sense to say and share this because a lot of the sugars and sucrose specific hides, and companies are finding new ways to hide or even eliminate the presence of a sugar on labels. So I think it's really crucial to pay attention to that. Yes, Naya, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. High fructose corn syrup. So let's look at glucose, right? When we think of sugars and sugar levels, you hear people say, "Oh, blood sugar and sugar levels." Well, they're really talking about glucose levels, right? And glucose levels are my main concern when we say sugar, and I'm considering or we're considering sugars. It's the it's the glucose level, and it should be yours too, right? It really should be something you should think about consistently. The You probably hear people talk about glycemic index, right? So the glycemic index is the tool that's used to measure how much carbohydrates affect your blood glucose level. And so there are various charts all over the place. Make sure when you use charts, please cross reference them so that you can, because people put a lot of things up all across the World Wide Web. It's very important to double check and double cross reference the information that you utilize. Carbs are the reason why we're thinking about sugars, right? And so carbs are made up of starches, they're made up of dietary fiber, and they're also made up of sugar. And so some of the sugar substitutes or sugars that we're going to look at today, we're going to actually consider the combination of types of sugars that are in them, right? So natural sugars they contain calories, we know that, but sometimes I don't think we are aware that there's this like combination of sugars in some of the sugars we talk about. For example, sucrose, right? So sucrose is not just, oh, it's sucrose. Sucrose is a combination of the fructose and glucose together. The thing about sucrose is it's 50% of both. All right. So the truth is it raises your blood sugar level. So if you are having issues with blood sugar levels and you want to be precautious, you'll remove sucrose from your diet. And you're probably saying, well, that's turbinado sugar. That's white sugar. It isn't only white sugar. Sucrose is found in fruit. It's also found in maple syrup, and it's found in honey. So using those alternatives it may not be enough for you. You may actually need to remove them, not just use them as a substitute. You may need to remove them in totality, all right, completely. Um, I spoke about and shared stevia and a couple other sugars earlier. It'll have a a it'll have a better effect on your ability to try and control Greetings. Your ability to try and control your glucose levels. Honey, a personal favorite of mine. And if you're going to use honey because you want to use it not just for its the purpose of sweetening, but you want to use it for its antibacterial benefits, you cannot use store bought honey that's been heated or preserved, and most of them have been. You'll have to purchase untreated honey, right? Natural honey. You have to pay attention to some of the companies are they actually make and produce pure what's called raw honey, and raw honey does not always look very white. Raw whipped honey has that white look. So don't let anyone sell you raw honey that looks white and say to you that that's the only type of raw honey that exists. All you're looking at when you look at a very white product is a whipped honey, and it just looks aesthetically pleasing and so on. You get less bang for your buck actually, because they whip air into it. So anyway, so honey is predominantly fructose. So you'll find that honey is a better option if you are trying to regulate your blood glucose levels. So honey is again 80% fructose. It is less problematic for your glucose levels. It's less problematic than sucrose is. So it's very natural, and again, its antibacterial properties is excellent. Excellent. If you do not use honey to sweeten, but you use it to make medicine, one medicine that can support your system, support you flushing mucus from your system as well, is to crush a couple cloves of garlic and sit it in raw honey for about a week or two strongs, um, maybe even longer, because the antibacterial properties of both of these foods actually help to maintain the honey for a long period of time. And you can utilize small spoonfuls of this to help flush your system of mucus. Agave is another sweetener. I know we're probably all familiar with it. A cactus sugar. I do use it from time to time. I use it because it's very convenient. I just make sure that I cross-reference the brand, because it's the what makes agave dangerous is this process, right? The process of making agave is questionable, and because of those questions, because of the question of the source of that sugar, you have to kind of pull back and say, is this something that I want to use? However, based on its glucose levels, it's something that you can consider because it is not as problematic as sucrose is. For the sisters in the space, I am going to say this. If you're going to utilize agave, I want you to watch how agave affects your flora and fauna, right? I want you to look at how it affects the acidic levels and the pH levels of your body, because it does. And I find that when I utilize agave in high amounts, it sets off, it triggers pH levels, things. Yeah, it's not funny. So just, I kept saying to myself, yeah, they say it does not affect the blood glucose levels as badly as sucrose, but there's something up with the way it affects the feminine body and our pH levels. So pay attention to that, because you may find that you are experiencing imbalances, or you're noticing the body letting you know that there are certain things that are not in alignment. And in order to really zoom in on where the problem is coming from, sometimes you have to pay attention to how foods or what we consume affects our bodies. Greetings, yoga with Johanna. How are you? peace. Thank you for joining us on Sovereign Sundays. If you can make it, head on over to our YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, and join in on the conversation there. We have a few people well in the chat. Few people well. So let's move on to coconut sugars, right? And so coconut sugar is derived, of course, from coconut. It is a great substitute for sucrose, especially if you're baking. I find that when we consider transitioning to a vegan or a raw vegan diet, or finding substitutes that are healthier, alternatives that are healthier, actually, um, specifically for baking. That's what I wanted to. That's the point I wanted to make, and for cooking that requires I don't know, breads and other delicacies that people enjoy making. And I enjoy making them too, right? Don't get me wrong. I like to get in the kitchen and just go crazy. um, but coconut sugar is actually very close to sucrose. So I know it's sold as an excellent alternative, and I do prefer it, again, because it is better than a highly processed sucrose, but to it is very close to sucrose in its when it comes to using the glycemic index for to assess it. So, and the thing is, there are some studies that actually show that in some cases there's a difference between sucrose and coconut sugar itself. And when I say sucrose, you're probably saying, well, it's confusing. When I speak about sucrose here, every time you hear me say sucrose, I'm actually referring to white sugar that is processed, right? That's really where I'm going with this. White sugars that are processed. And sometimes, I mean, it can be confusing because sucrose is also very natural. It's naturally occurring. That's why, they tap cane sugar to process and create sucrose. But back to cane sugar, it can be considered a good quality substitute because of the process um, that is being utilized to make coconut sugar versus the process used to make what's called cane sugar. Um, so I have two others that I spoke about. Stevia, I spoke about earlier on, so you can look at my midday motivation video on stevia. Date sugar is very similar to coconut sugar, but if you are really looking to find a substitute for um, maybe your own baked goods or maybe even teas, you can make your own date syrup or your own date sugars. Do not buy them in the store. Grab yourself some regular dates, place them in some, wash them off a little bit, because yeah, wash them off a little bit, soak them in water, and blend them. All right, and you can put if you're using a cup of dates, you can put half a cup of water and let them soak. Keep spinning them and turning them. Make sure they all get soft, and you can blend that out, and you have date syrup. You can use it to make shakes, smoothies, or anything. Even sweetened teas, I use it from time to time. It just requires me to make enough so that I have. You're probably saying, well, what sweeteners do you use, or what sugars do you use? Um, Within the last year, I find that I have increased the amount of sweeteners that I do consume and utilize. I like teas a lot. And if I'm making tea, I'll tend to add a bit of raw honey to my teas. But I do like dates and date syrup. I wanted to say something else too. Don't sleep on figs. If you if you encounter some really delicious figs over the spring and some over the summer, and sometimes they tend to get they tend to be cheaper. Buy a lot of them, dry them, and then you can actually soak them and make fig butter, which you can use to sweeten baked goods. Um, Yes, you can. You don't need to actually pour coconut sugar or even agave into baked goods. You can take um, dried fruits and utilize their sweetness to actually sweeten your baked goods. But yeah, that's what I really wanted to share. If there's anything, any questions that you all have that you want to put in the chat, let me know. If you notice any body changes that you have experienced and questioned from your use of agave, let me know, specifically agave versus honey and its effect on the pH of your body, your feminine body. Let me know. I actually have one other sister who is constantly she's constantly fighting with her pH, her high acidic pH, and what happens is it causes infections for her. And we had a long conversation one time, and we both realized that it's actually agave doing that. So the it's a good alternative, but it may just be the process, or it may be the type of sugar combination when it comes to fructose and sucrose. Hey, peace, Maxine. Greetings, peace and greetings to you. And yes, Chanel Woods, thank you for joining us. Cornelius, Creative Corner, thank you. Deidre Sully, thank you. And Yoga with Johanna, thank you all. I am going to close today. Please like, share, subscribe if you would like to ask a question. I know sometimes after the live's done, you may have questions or things that you want to share. Please jump on in the comment section and share anything or ask any respectable and royal question. I will be happy to give you a royal response. True Health Live says this was very informative. Give thanks. You are welcome. You're welcome. Maxine asks, how is maple syrup? It is delicious. But apart from being really good, I'm a sucker for maple syrup. I'm going to say it. There's something about the taste. And I'm not talking about the fake ones. I'm talking about grade A, amber, deep color, right? But maple syrup is very similar to sucrose. Sucrose in combination, it is 50% fructose for 50% glucose. So it is really very similar in terms of the measurement of the glycemic index. It has the same effect. And I've tested it when it comes to just utilizing sweeteners. I find that stevia has much less of an effect for me. What about blackstrap molasses? Absolutely. Levels of iron. It's sweet. It's true. It's made from sugarcane honey, sugarcane sugar, not honey. But blackstrap has its benefits. Again, high levels of iron for those of us who are interested in increasing iron levels, but there are other things that you could utilize. Like you could totally drink nettle tea and yellow dock. I'm an advocate for yellow dock, so sorry. But blackstrap is really good. The only thing is blackstrap, like honey, has its own strong flavor, so it can take over. It has like a malty taste. So it might be great in shakes and smoothies, but when it comes to baked goods, unless you want your baked good to have a very heavy, strong taste, you know. But I really like it. I really like it. You can even consume it. I would say midday sugars are not a good thing to consume early in the dawnings or even mid dawning, but beyond midday or even at midday, you can have a tablespoon of blackstrap molasses with hot water. All right, and that will help you if you're trying to increase iron counts. Maxine says, good to know. Thank you, Ahot. Thank you, Ahot. Monique. Oh, Maxine. Sorry. Oh, my goodness. All right, I'm going to close. It is 6:28. It's always great to build and just share. If there are subjects or areas that you want me to explore, please share. We are going to continue to look at things like salts. We're going to cover dairy some more and find out why we love salty things so much, why we love dairy things so much, and also look at ways to and alternatives, ways to create alternatives, ways to include natural sodium or natural salt into our diet. And yes, we have some people who just love olives. They eat olives like it's just breathing. It's the salt. It's the salt. Peace, peace, and blessings. Thank you for joining me on YouTube. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Full joy the rest of your evening. Peace and power to you all.